Michael just asked if you could take me and put this on YouTube. No pressure. Thank you. All right. So the title of my speech is Why I'm Here, and I'm sure you guys can guess, or you probably have known from your own experiences. You usually aren't the best public speaker when you come into something like this. So my story starts about a couple of weeks ago. I just started a new job, and a couple of weeks in, we had visitors from our head office come in, these big head honchos, and lo and behold, they said, Amar, we want you to present. I'm like, present? Are you serious? I just started. And this is in a field that I know nothing about. It's manufacturing. My background's in oil and gas. So it was me and another guy that was working the same position as me presenting. And the day before the presentation, he tells me about how he finished Toastmasters a couple of years ago, and he likes doing improv. And I said, oh, great, let me go first. I went second. So I completely bombed, and everyone was watching. So, you know, that feeling comes up, like the nervousness in your chest and the shaky feelings, sweats, all that. So that was all there. And the one thing I kept telling myself was, if I just went to Toastmasters when I knew about it and kept at it consistently, I wouldn't have been in this position. But I think it takes a strong lesson like that to actually get you started and committed to something. So I'm sure in a year or two I'll look back and say that was a pretty great turning point in my life, and that's kind of something that made me take that first step towards a big goal. So that's why I'm here, and I guess I actually still want to talk about my background, where I'm from, and that kind of stuff, because it is an icebreaker speech. So like many of you guys, or maybe not actually, it's a pretty mixed group. I was born in Toronto, but my parents are from India, so I'm a first generation Canadian. And that was a pretty strong part of my background. Similar to Charles' parents, having parents that, actually from anywhere, immigrants in general, they have to work really, really hard when they first come to a new country to kind of establish themselves. So one thing I always remember was my parents coming from a long days of work home, tired, exhausted, and still having the energy to kind of play with me and my brother. So hard work was something that was instilled within me from a very, very early age. So it's something I kind of tried to take towards any task I have in life, to approach it and do the best that I can. And even in that speech that I did a terrible job in, I tried my best, and that's something that the company actually smiled upon, so I was very, very lucky about that. Growing up, I grew up as a Sikh. Just show of hands, does anyone know what that religion is? Okay, a lot of you. So for those that don't know, one of the main tenets of Sikhism is that you have to keep your hair for your whole life. You can never cut it. So what you do is, rather than just letting it drop, you roll it up in a bun and kind of just cover it with a headpiece. So I had that till about grade 10. I got my first haircut in the 10th grade. And no one else in my elementary school, my middle school, had that. I was the only person with something like that. I stuck out like a sore thumb. Not the best thing to have when you're young and in school. But surprisingly, as some of you probably aren't expecting to hear, I was never bullied. I was pretty accepted. I didn't even like racism or anything like that wasn't even an issue. And it wasn't until I grew up and met other people who grew up in other countries with turbans telling me about racism they faced. That's when I realized like what a cool country Canada is, because there's so many people here from different places, and I didn't experience any racism or any sort of bigotry growing up. And I guess on a personal level, I'm very proud to be Canadian from this country, just because it's such a combination of different people and we're so accepting. Moving on, education was something that was stressed in my life from an early age. My parents never let me work during the summer. It was school. And I would have been fine with that, but I was just like a B student. I could never get like a B plus, even like an A minus. This is B's. Until one year. It was grade 5. I got a B plus in music. And I don't understand to this day why. Like I just wouldn't even sing. I was so insecure about my voice. But I think they just gave me a B plus because they knew I wanted one. So school was never my thing. But I always tried. I always worked hard. And now that I'm working, looking back at it, I kind of really do miss the freedom that school gives you. So maybe I'll be joining back one day. So, you know, education, I do value it. Looking back on it, it kind of taught me some great experiences and stuff like that. Passions, I'm going to go off of what Russ said. So that same meditation retreat that he completed, I did the same one about 2 to 3 years ago, and like he said, it was like one of the most transformative experiences of my life. Meditation is something I do to this day. I do about an hour a day. And the best way I can explain it is kind of going back to Eve's presentation a few weeks ago where he was the Toastmaster. He talked about going for a nice walk and looking up at a tree and seeing a leaf and really noticing the way the sunlight hit the leaf. It's moments like that you kind of get transported to like the present moment and you forget about everything. That's pretty much what meditation does for me. Like every day I'll just appreciate every moment a lot more and I'll just become more present focused, and that's pretty much why I still do it to this day. So yeah, that's my speech. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it.